Greetings. Today's talk shows how to analyze music that features inverted dominant seventh chords in the minor mode. It is a scientific process, a tool which can help you do research and even improve your own writing. The 3 previous lectures on inverted 5/7 chords laid the foundation. So, we move on with the understanding that you have already completed those assignments. Listen to how inverted dominant seventh chords lend a richer sound and smoother harmonic flow. For your information, the examples we are analyzing come from a public domain source, and you can legally download a free copy for yourself if you wish. See the description below. The steps for musical analyses are the same as before. Label the key, write the figures over the bass notes, add the Roman numerals under the bass notes, label the cadence, and play and sing the example. Example 1. So, according to the key signature of example 1, what is the key? Write the letter name of the key below the staff, next to the bass clef sign. Use lowercase for minor keys. Not all root position chords require bass figures. The figures mainly tell us which triads and chords are inverted, which are seventh chords, and whether any chord tones have been altered. For now, we write the figures over the bass notes. By the way, if we make any mistakes in our analyses, please say so in a comment. Roman numerals below the bass indicate the scale degree of the root of each chord. These also tell us whether the triad is major or minor, uppercase or lower, diminished, lowercase plus the small o, and when the chord has 4 tones, the figure 7 is added. Label the type of cadence, whether it is perfect or imperfect authentic, plagal, and so on. Finally, play through the progression on a piano keyboard several times. You should also assign voice parts to a mixed group of singers, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, for sight singing practice with fellow students. The example should sound something like this. You all sound wonderful. On to example 2. Before beginning our analysis of example 2, let's listen to how it sounds played on a piano. Step 1. Label the key below the bass staff according to the key signature. Use lowercase for the minor key. Next, write in the figures over the bass notes. Figures indicate whether triads and seventh chords are in root position or inverted, and if there are any altered notes, i.e. a raised seventh scale degree. Have we made any mistakes in our figuring so far? Then, add Roman numerals under the bass notes. Roman numerals tell us a great deal about each chord. The scale degree of each chord root, whether a triad is major, minor, or diminished, and whether a 4th tone has been added to the triad, making it a 7th chord. Be sure to label the type of cadence at the end of the phrase, whether PAC, IAC, PC, which means plagal, and so forth. Finally, play through the progression on a piano keyboard several times. Besides the keyboard, you may again assign voice parts to a small mixed chorus, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass voices, to practice singing the examples through. On to example 3. Before beginning our analysis of example 3, let's listen to how it sounds played on a piano. As a reminder, those double sharp signs simply mean to play the tone that is 2 chromatic semitones higher than the natural note. Step 1. Label the key below the bass staff according to the key signature. Use lowercase for the minor key. Next, write in the figures over the bass notes. Figures indicate whether triads and seventh chords are in root position or inverted. Incidentally, we love comments that point out any mistakes we may have made in our figuring. Add Roman numerals under the bass notes. Roman numerals tell us the scale degree of each chord root, whether it is major, minor, or diminished, and if a fourth tone has been added to the triad, i.e., a seventh chord. Label the cadence at the end of the phrase, whether PAC, IAC, PC, and so forth. Incidentally, can you find any root position 5/7 chords having no fifth in the chord? Play through the progression on a piano keyboard several times. If possible, assign voice parts to a mixed chorus, soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, to practice singing the examples through. On to example 4. Before beginning the analysis of our final example, let's listen to how it sounds played on a piano. Step 1. Label the key below the bass staff according to the key signature. Use lowercase for the minor key. Next, write in the figures over the bass notes. Figures indicate whether triads and seventh chords are in root position or inverted, and which tones have been chromatically altered. Do you see any errors? Then add Roman numerals under the bass notes to tell us the scale degree of the chord roots, whether they're major, minor, or diminished, and if the vertical harmony makes a seventh chord. Label the cadence. Finally, play through the progression on a piano keyboard several times, and if you have the resources, assign parts to soprano, alto, tenor, and bass voices to sight sing the example. Listen. Excellent. Today we applied the steps for musical analysis to minor key, 4-part chord progressions, combining triads and dominant seventh chords in all positions and inversions. We encourage you to copy these examples to paper for personal study. The final presentation of this section on inverted 5/7 will present a number of thorough bass exercises in which we will do the reverse of analysis. Realize individual figured bass lines into full 4-part harmony in both major and minor modes. So sharpen those pencils, and thank you for watching. If you like what you are learning, feel free to share a link to the video. Post questions in a comment, subscribe for YouTube updates by tapping the bell next to the subscribe button on the video watch page.